Good morning and welcome to Cooley Outdoors. I am your host, Brandon Scott, and it's another weekday solo trip, baby. It's a Friday, June 10th, and Nash is not with me today, and it's a weekday, and Serena has to work, so I am all by myself. I took this day off to come out and do this. It was one of Nash's Fridays off, but he is getting his butt kicked by allergies, and I'm getting butt kicked a little bit too, but he's getting it way worse, so he was not going to come out and exercise, which is fine. There'll be other days. But today, we are at the Dosewallips River in the Hood Canal country of the Olympic Peninsula, so the east face of the Olympic Peninsula. And we are going on a hike and bike trip. I'm going to create a playlist folder within YouTube for these hike and bike trips because I plan on doing a bunch of them. But we are up the Dosewallips River, and yes, it is called the Dosewallips. It's going to be spelled Dosewallips. I thought it was pronounced Dosewallips, but I'm pretty sure it's Dosewallips. But the reason we're going on a hike and bike is because in 2002, the river was part of the road was taken out by a landslide about 5.5 miles back from where the road ends at the Dosewallips Campground in Olympic National Park. So I am parked where they close the road in Olympic National Forest, and it's a 6.5 mile one-way hike or bike ride to the Olympic Campground, and there's a ranger station out there too. So that's today's plan, is at the very least do that. Stops along the way because there's a couple trails, a couple other campgrounds in the national forest there. And if it's going really well, because the sun is out, surprisingly, then I might go wander down a trail or two a little further out and go see what happens. But thank you for joining us, or thank you for joining me. So, the road blew out in 2002. So you'd think they'd have this as a day hike, right? Well, no. None of the Olympic books I have were made after 2002. That's just bad on me for not buying any updated books. But so in all these books, it thinks the road is still intact and you can drive all the way to the Dosewallips Campground and Ranger Station inside the national park. So there's a whole section in this day hike Olympic Peninsula book. I'm sure if I go buy a second edition that came out after 2002, it would talk differently. But there is Tunnel Creek Trail, Lake Constance Trail, Big Timber Camp, Calypso Falls, and then so there are like 4 trails branching out from here. I'll show you on the map. So here's the Dosewallips Ranger Station and Campground. As you can see, the road washed out 5.5 miles from the ranger station. It's out here, not within the map. So I'll ride my bike. There's the Lake Constance Trail. I think the Tunnel Creek Trail is back here too, but campground, ranger station, and there's a trail goes out, and there's a trail going up the West Fork and up the North Fork. So you got multiple trails options there, and then you can go up over Constance Pass. You can go up towards Anderson Pass. Hayden Pass is one way, and Anderson Pass is the other way. So there's a bunch of options. So there's a bunch of opportunities to come repeat hike and bike. I'm going to do this today, and then there's the Lake Constance, Tunnel Creek, that way. So there's like 5 other trips you can come out and come do besides just going out here, which makes it for a really good hike backpack in, or bike backpack in. You bike the 6.5 miles with your camping gear. You dump stuff here, and then you got a couple of day hikes, or you continue on. You know, there's a whole bunch of options, which is the nice thing about some of these hike and bike trips, where the road being closed, yeah, it sucks if you want to drive in, but at the same time, it's going to keep massive amounts of people from going here. It's like, oh, it adds a 6.5 mile hike just to get where you could drive into? Nah, I'm not going to do that. But again, the road's still supposed to be intact and bikeable and hikeable, so it's a flat-ish river road. And then once you get to the campground, you got a large, what used to be a car campground, and then a bunch of trails. So day hike, obviously not going to have it anymore. This other old book, Trail Guide to the Olympic National Park, it talks about Hood Canal country, and the first one is the Dosewallips River going from the campground up to Dosey Meadows, which is Hayden Pass and Cameron Pass. So again, at a later date, I'll buy a newer book probably to show what the update is, but 6.5 miles of biking, here we go. So I am leaving the parking lot now, getting on the bike. There was a sign on one of the rocks back there saying there's a young black bear spotted hanging out by the trail about 1.25 miles ahead. So I'll have to watch out for that. But my first obstacle is going to be crossing this creek and hopefully not eating too much while I do so. Oh God. Can you tell it's been a while since I've been on a bike? Oh, come on. I have gone up this road once before, a little ways, with Sabrina. It was a, you know, another one of those kind of ill-fated, oh, let's go find something to do for her birthday hike. We went to the Elkhorn campground, which is first major stop along this road, I think. I think the Elkhorn is before Tunnel Creek. But the Elkhorn is, all right, let's see if I can remember which way is the upshift and which way is the downshift. The Elkhorn is 2.7 miles up from here, and it is or it was a pretty major campground. Oh, I'm gonna be just too tall. And I figured, you know, back in late February, I think it was 2021, so last February, a year ago February, thought, oh yeah, it's pretty low elevation. Even though we were having a pretty good snow year, we should be able to make it to at least the Elkhorn campground and go further. Not much problem, right? Wrong. It was snowing on us. We ran into snow on the trail not too much further up in here, and we just barely coogied in the Elkhorn campground in the slush, had lunch, and then turned back. So that's as far as I've been. Elkhorn campground, 2.7 out of the 6.5 miles up, which again, I guess for a February hike, that's not too bad, right? But now we're gonna try and go all the way. It is 10:03, so we'll say I left the trailhead at 10 o'clock and see how long it takes me to go. It's finally starting to look like spring. I know it's the middle of June and I'm saying it's finally starting to look like spring. Well, we got a very November storm yesterday, a Pineapple Express storm, the atmospheric river. If you're familiar with either of those terms, pretty much a tropical storm system from Hawaii gets elongated out along the Gulf Stream, turns into like literally a bow and arrow, and just thunk straight into Seattle. We usually get them in November, December. That's why Seattle's known as so rainy, is because in our November storm, there we go, that's an upshift. Our November storm system, we get like 2 of those in November and 1 or 2 in December, and they just dump inches and inches of rain. And that's what usually causes all the catastrophic flooding you hear me talk about occasionally. Those atmospheric rivers, those Pineapple Express storms coming in and just laying waste. We're not supposed to get those in June. We got one yesterday, and it gave us 1.2 inches of rain yesterday in June. Mind you, the average total monthly rainfall for Seattle in June is about 1.6 inches. So we got almost our entire month's worth of rain in one day yesterday. So we called it January.
and we're still calling it January. What else can I say about this weird January weather? At the end of May, the Weather Service put out a statistic saying how many hours above 70 degrees Seattle has had so far this year. And by the end of May, most years for the last decade had been usually around 60 to 80 years. There was a couple years where we were already over 100 hours over 70 degrees. Through the end of May this year, grand total of 5 hours above 70 degrees. We had 2 70-degree days, and they just barely squeaked it in. Now, of course, since then we've had our normal temperature. We've had a couple more 70-degree days, and again today it's looking a heck of a lot better than what they thought it was going to. They still thought the Pineapple Express was going to be doing some funny things today, but it's freaking sunny and blue sky, so I'm happy about that. So super excited. All right, now talked a little bit about the trail and the road being closed. But as you can tell from what I remembered, it was pretty flat and wide and still good to go, and it still appears so. After a mile we'll get to the washout, which coincidentally sounds like where this young black bear is hanging out. Nice and tall on a bicycle. But let's talk about the geology. You know, I am a geologist. I have my bachelor's degree in environmental geology. Eventually I want to go work doing water resource management for the state or the feds, being like a hydrologist. So I should probably talk about, you know, the area of science I studied for 4 years. So, eastern border of the Olympics. When you're in Seattle and you look west towards the Olympics, you see all these big, tall, pointy, craggy peaks. That's what I'm driving through right now. And they are there because of an old island chain volcano that got smushed up against us. Now, I won't go into super details because that's hours and hours of talking. Go watch Nick Zentner talk about it. I'll put at least one link there to some of his videos that talk about it. But pretty much think of Hawaii, the island chain, the volcanic island chain. A different version, a different one of those got smushed up against Washington 50 million years ago. And because of the Juan de Fuca plate that's creating our volcanoes like Mount Rainier and St. Helens still subducting, it is still smushing all of that basalt, and it's gone from sitting like this to sitting like that. 50 to 33 million year old, I think, is the crescent formation. And it's basalt. It's Hawaii. It's analogous to the Hawaiian volcano chain, what it would have looked like. And it just came in, got docked and got smushed, and now it's standing up on end due to continued smushing. So we got this pillowed basalt creating these steep mountains and continuing to create steep mountains because it continues to get squished. And it's called the Crescent Formation, a la Lake Crescent on the northern edge of the peninsula. Eventually the Crescent Formation is going to run out though, and it's going to turn into sedimentary layers, silt beds that have also been upturned sideways. Funnily enough, that thrust fault where those two rock layers meet is right at the Dosewallips Campground and Ranger Station at the end of the road. Like literally the start loop for the Ranger Station is where the thrust fault is supposed to be. Just a cruising. I think that's about it I got. I know upstream on the river, upstream of the Ranger Station a little ways, the Dosewallips River is supposed to go through a pretty impressive cataract, a la probably Middle Fork, Miller River Falls. Nash and I went and saw a couple weekends ago. That video actually should have just been, because my videoing schedule should have just went up yesterday. yeah, on the 9th. So you can go see what that looks like, but I'm assuming it's gonna look something like that. So we'll see if we get to that part, but I at least want to get to the campground and walk around the campground. Uh-oh. I think we made it to our slide. I'm gonna go from nice flat river to avoiding slide here for a bit. So the easy bike ride has ended for now. Also, might be where that black bear is hanging out. Now yes, black bears usually are not aggressive, but you still don't want to sneak up on one. So I'm going to continue making noises so I don't sneak up on him. Yep, here we go. Oh, I remember this. That's right, this sucks. So here we are at the washout. I remember this. I remember taking a bunch of pictures of this. So there's the trail that goes around, and there's also a trail that cuts right through. Sabrina and I did this. We did go up and around on the way out, but then on the way back we came right through. I'm thinking of walking the bike right through. I'm gonna go take a look. But if you're ever in doubt on taking a bike up a road like this, like I'm doing, we just covered almost 1.5 miles in 10 minutes. I'm gonna go look at the condition of this, see if it's feasible to walk the bike across. If it was just me, then yeah, go with my bike. I think I'm gonna go up and over, and I'm gonna kill the video. I might also take my rain pants off. I was wearing rain pants expecting the trail to be a lot wetter, but I think I'm gonna get rid of those too. So the uphill, it's a couple of steep switchbacks. Now I've reached the downhill, and I'm going to proceed with caution. Again, filming so that you can enjoy my death, YouTube. Hopefully the brakes don't give out. Oh, this is sketch. I don't see how people can enjoy doing this for their main source of outdoor fun. Oh, I am pucker level, almost infinity right now. Oh, then again, I haven't been on a bike in a long time, so I'm not used to it anymore. I'm sure 10 or, yeah, squeaky brakes. I'm sure 10 or 15 years ago, when I was riding bikes all the time, I probably would have enjoyed that. And now, I'm gonna do it again. I'm mounting this way because my hiking stick is on my backpack, and I have a hard time getting off the other direction. This isn't so bad. Again, if I'd been riding bikes more recently, this probably would be pretty fun. Just gotta not pucker and worry so much and use my brakes, because that's what they're for, right? To not go zooming down the mountain. Although I'm sure some of you who love doing this are sitting there going, oh dude, let's go bro. Oh yeah, we're not taking that on the bike. We'll walk it down, get back down to the road. Oh yeah, nope. On the way back, I might walk this across the landslide just to see if it's worth it doing that way. Because I remember going across it when Sabrina, on the way back when Sabrina and I came and hiked this, and it wasn't that bad. That was February, when none of the vegetation had leafed out. It's now June, and it's looking considerably brushier. Onward and upward, because this is already probably a 20-minute video at this point, and I need to not. Registration, warning, bear frequenting area. Oh boy, oh great. Luckily it's only black bears, but still. Bear frequenting area while riding a bicycle, you might kick their chase response. But I'm going a heck of a lot quicker than if I was on foot. Just to zoom in. Lots of deer sign using the trail, which isn't surprising. Yes, that's a lot of mist and fog coming up off the river. Again, the humidity is still quite high, left over from that Pineapple Express yesterday. So as it warms up, the temperature differential increases between the water and the ambient air. There's be a lot more fog coming off. Oh, that's so pretty. Well, would you look at that? Olympic National Forest Campground, Elkhorn. We've gone 2.7 miles and we've got about 4 to go. So there's the Elkhorn campground back there. Closed obviously to vehicles because you can't drive. 2 more miles to the park boundary, and then about 2 miles after that to the campground. So that is where Sabrina and I stopped and had our lunch on her birthday hike 2 years ago. In the slush, there was probably a good foot of snow on the ground here. So, climbed the hill out of Elkhorn, but here is a very good example of the pillow basalt crescent formation and how it can form these really steep rocky drainages just straight up. Oh, the humidity has not left the area and I'm sweating bullets. I'm not getting any relief because my sweat isn't able to evaporate, but you can see it looks bubbly or pillowy. That's why it's called pillow basalt. And that forms, or that happens, when the basalt is coming out of the ground underwater and is contacting water, underwater obviously. So think of the Hawaiian volcano. It forms out in the middle of the ocean. And before it pops up and makes its own island, it's undersea. When all that lava is coming out in the ocean, it forms these pillows. Same idea. So the pillows in the basalt tell you that it was formed underwater. If you don't get pillows, instead you get columns. And then it formed on land and was allowed to cool a lot quicker. But pillowy basalt means it was formed out in the ocean somewhere. Figured I'd stop and talk about that and catch my breath a little bit. Continue on down the trail. Oogly boogly. Finally got my first downhill section, which means you have to be uphill on the way back, but pretty much everything's been uphill so far, so this is why you bring a bike. This section would probably take you 10, maybe 15 minutes to hike through. As long as I don't each there, it'll take me about 30 seconds. Oh, look, more pillow basalt, and I hear Angry River. Oh, it's way the heck down there. Woo! It is straight down. That's why we had to go up and around so far, because these basalt cliffs are straight up and down, like I said they would be. Butterflies. Oh, this humidity sucks though. My goodness. It is still very humid out, and I am sweating. Oh, back to uphill. We came back down to the river though. Pretty much as soon as we crossed over Bull Elk Creek, we've come to this opening. As you can see, the lower ends of these trees are all charred. This is the 2003 Constance Fire, named after the trail that leads up to the lake right on the other side of the park boundary. Now wait a minute, you say. Isn't Olympic Peninsula rainforest? Shouldn't it be too wet for fires? Well, no, fires can happen anywhere, even in the rainforest. And B, this is the entering the rain shadow section of Olympic Peninsula. So instead of getting 12 feet, it only gets a couple of feet. And it's actually sunnier and overall nicer weather year-round in Seattle. So it's pretty dry comparatively in this portion, this northeast corner of the peninsula. Oh, it's warm and muggy. This sucks. The Constance Fire, 2003, and the road washed out in 2002. Those being in back-to-back years may have been what persuaded Forest Service to maybe not try and rebuild that road. I mean, the landslide is a pretty big section of road gone to begin with, but you get a wildfire across the road like this, and a lot of times if it burns hot enough, which this doesn't necessarily look like it did, but if it burns hot enough and knocks all the vegetation out, you're gonna get a lot of erosion, and your road's gonna wash out in a lot more spots. So they probably wanted to play it safe and wait and see what the road did within the wildfire burn scar. And it appears the wildfire section has done fine. It's the landslide section has gotten bigger and bigger. And look at that. Park boundary. Entering Olympic National Park. Dosewallips Ranger Station. 1.2 miles. Fishing opens June 1st. So I've got a mile of riding left. Now, why is this important? Well, more restrictions, including this will never have seen chainsaws or anything, but also, except for very few instances, you're not allowed to bring pets into a national park, especially not into the backcountry like this. So that is why this is important. Blue sky, it is warm, it is muggy. We reached the national park boundary. Ooh, I'll take a picture of the dogwood real quick. I was gonna start talking about something, but I'll get a picture of this first. More pillow basalt. You can see a couple of really well-defined pillows in there. But the flowers and the rock. Frog! I'm so sorry, Mr. Frog! Crap, he just yeeted over the side of the cliff. Where did he end up? Dang it. He yeeted, he went way down there somewhere now. Shit. He may never be able to come back to his spot. Anywho, that thundering you hear is not the river. It is Constance Creek coming down from Lake Constance. There is a trail to Lake Constance, but as the very much thundering Angry Creek might suggest, it's one steep son of a gun. In fact, it might be the steepest and one of the toughest lakes or toughest hikes, trails in all of Olympic National Park. It's over 1,000 feet a mile for like 3 or 4 miles. You're literally going straight up and down from what I've read. Maybe someday I will go do it. Maybe not. Especially since there's wildfire that's cut through there. That's gonna make it even worse. Hey-ya! Constance Creek. Just absolutely shoving up and down the mountain. And there's a lake way the heck up there. And there's a trail to the lake on one of the sides of this creek. I don't remember which. I'll open this and see if I can find out. It is on this side. Somewhere here in the next couple of feet. Oh, here it is. There's a sign for it. Lake Constance route. Not even a trail. It's been downgraded to a route. Extremely steep. Infrequent maintenance. Have a go, and up you go. I'm sure they maintain it a little more now, since there's wildfire debris you got to deal with. But if you're looking for a pain gain, the pain train and super gains, that would be to go do. And it's a 4+ mile additional hike now to get into it. So extra pain. And but with the wildfire, you might actually be able to see the river. Way the flip-floppity fudge down there. And those sharp-eyed of you may have noticed there's a couple of drainages over there. They got some small waterfalls and stuff going on. Oh my goodness. This is painful. Ugh. Between me being out of shape, having way too much weight on my backpack, this has not been very fun. Holy crap, look at that. That is all bedrock, all basalt. That's how steep this country is. Wow, that's rough. Almost there. Don't know if you can see it, but right in there's a multi-drop waterfall. That top drop looks to be about 15 feet, and it looks like there's even more going down to the river. I don't think, yep, that is completely unmarked. And that is Tumbling Creek, coming out of Wildcat Lake way up there somewhere. Tumbling Creek. I wonder why it's called that. I bet because it tumbles. I have to investigate. This is a downhill stretch, literally after I left the Lake Constance trailhead. It's been a big downhill, so it's a boost to go down, but it's gonna suck to come back up. And the only reason I stopped is because I see falling water. I might have to investigate that. But supposedly there's a waterfall of the Dosewallips River itself in not too long. I'll have to maybe investigate that on another time. That's a pretty good drop there, eh? I don't think that's the river. I think that's the side creek. The river looks like it's in a freaking gorge right here. And deadfall. Not the first deadfall I've encountered on the trail, but it's still annoying. You can see why there's waterfalls though. Look at this side. The wildfire had nothing to do but burn straight up, so it burned everything. But that's all basalt, and that's all straight up. Hey-ya! Boing. Ugh. Oh, son of a mother. Oh, that sucks. Ha. Look at those pillow basalts, YouTube. Holy crap. I guess what sucks for me makes good for content, right? Look at those pillow basalts. I guess I'll roll through this so you can see what navigating through this washout is like. This is all basalt. We haven't reached the campground and the thrust fault yet. My goodness. Wow. That's cool. Ow. Stop here. Get a couple of pictures. Take a couple of pictures and I'll get more pictures up close. Those are some big pillows. I can't wait to go look at that. Ugh. And the river is literally right there now. Wow. This would be kind of fun to climb if you're a climber. Look at those pillows. Oh my goodness. Can I still get away with it taking a landscape? Bike on the stand so I can use both hands for this. Those are big pillows. This sucks hauling a bike through this. Nobody said anything about this washout, blowout right before the campground. Wow. Sham, wow, that's pretty good stuff. I mean, look at the size of that thing. Those are huge pillows. Wow. No one said squat about this campground, about this blowout at the campground. And then the river itself is just angrier than angry. Oh, I see water. I see maybe a waterfall. I'm zooming around the back edge of this cliff. Holy crap. This is pretty. Mud, mud, mud. Oh, yeah, that'll do. And the road's way up there. That's gonna suck. I'll take a long exposure to this on my way back out. That's crazy. That's nuts. I'm just gonna keep the camera rolling, I think. Between these cliffs and the cataract and the vegetation, this is too cool not to film. Wow. And we're walking to like 500-foot, 1,000-foot cliffs. And the river is just smushed right in between them. I'm surprised this cataract is only that big. You'd think with topography this extreme, it would get a little crazier. Oh, wow. That's nuts. All the strawberries are blooming. Oh, it's heavy. Road sign, do not stop vehicle on steep grade. That's how dangerous this is. I'm surprised that this wasn't the problem spot for the road. With that landslide back there. Betting this has a part to play in it though. Between this and that landslide, we're just like, nah, it's not worth it. But to put this road in to begin with, this is cool as hell. Crap. Yeah. This is crazy. It's like a guard gate into the Olympics or something. Oh, tiring. Look at that. That'll do for one heck of a waterfall, yo. Howdy.
Where you going to?
Just to the campground.
Okay. Honeymoon Meadows is closed. You went up that way. Iced up, dude, and snowed.
Not surprising with the spring we've had.
Yeah. All right.
Have a good one. No way. Holy shit. That's the only reason why the road still exists, because they put a lot of cribbing in. But still, the absolute brass cojones of the people who built this road put it literally right here up against this massive cataract. That's crazy. Old cribbing. A lot of old cribbing. Success! I am now dead. You are watching an angel putz around in heaven. Just kidding. Big log in the way. But that road sign was not the campground. It was just telling you to turn right so you don't yeet yourself off the road and off a cliff and into the waterfall. Good news. This looks like this is the campground. Hoping to find the campground sign. So the trail continues that way, but most people look like they just bail this way. I mean, for obvious massive log reasons. Oh yeah, this is the campground. Wow, this is pretty. Oh my goodness, this is pretty. There's supposed to be a ranger station at the far end of the campground, so I might yeet my bike back up and over the road. Oh yeah, I see a speed limit sign there too. So I think I'm gonna yeet my bike back up and over this log and continue down the road. But this looks to be the lower end of the campground. My goodness, is this pretty. Came down the road another 150 feet or so to the horse poles, and it looks like there was a sign for the campground there. This is what a semi-abandoned road car camp looks like. All the picnic tables are still here. Most of the fire rings are still here. It's just, you know, grown in with vegetation some. I'm gonna leave my bicycle there for now. I'm gonna go walk this direction, see if I can go find a ranger station and some signs to describe things. Ooh, lots of nettle. Great. Lots of stinging nettle. Stay on the grass. Stay out of the grass then, because that is nettle everywhere. I'm pretty sure this used to be road. I think this was road. Well, there's people over there. You're not alone. So yeah, according to my map, if I keep walking down this one, because I haven't seen any trail signs, you'd think the trail signs would still be intact. I've seen more fire rings. Oh, there's the ranger station. I knew if I kept walking I'd find it. This is cool. This is freaking cool. Maples are blooming up. Firings, man. Bear boxes are still around and everything. If only they could put the road back together, I would come camp here all the time. Look at that. A little post here to mark it, designate the campsites. Haven't quite rotted away yet. Horse poop, seen lots of that. But this is what happens when you give a campground back to Mother Nature for 20 years. This is just so cool. Bunch of massive cedar trees and everything hanging out in here. So this looks like restrooms. Yep, I see ranger station buildings over there. I would laugh so hard if these were open. now. And the water spigot's been disconnected. Darn. I wonder when these were last open. Betting that's a pump house, maybe? So here's where you pay your campground fees. So there's your campground notification board. Oh my goodness. It is just so god dang pretty. Might come take a nap or a long exposure there. My god. This is honestly one of the prettiest campgrounds I have ever been to. And you can't even access it unless you put in a full day hike already. Or you push up. Oh my. Ooh, woodpecker. You see him on the stump down here? Those guys are pretty rare. I think that's a pileated woodpecker. Right in front of the ranger station. Let's see if I can come creep over here. Booyah. Alright, now I'm gonna walk by and disturb him. I got my pictures. I still got... I wonder if it's manned in the summer, if they will come out and man it. If only. Okay, this looks like parking here. You got the rockery to line it there. Looks like parking for the trailheads for day use. Oh, ranger station, that's pretty. I'm sure it's still, I mean, that door is freshly painted. I'm sure it's still manned. Look at all these mountains you can go climb into. After 1.5, I'm going to take pictures of this. Official Park Service stuff. This is the good stuff. This is where all the good information comes from. But it's like Constance Pass, 7.5 miles one way. So, I mean, there's lots of options to go. And those guys said Honeymoon Meadows was still snowed in. Well, yeah, it's right here at the base of Anderson Pass next to Anderson Glacier. I would think after this wet weather. Wilderness overnight sites. Wow. That looks like a pump house, semi-abandoned. Let's go wander up to the ranger station and see what it looks like. Man, this is cool. Yeah, I doubt they... I mean, it has to be, right? Those are nice, new, sparkly solar panels. That tree just barely clipped it. That's a freshly painted front door, and the windows are cobweb free, and it looks like there's a connection to the water spigot. Someone has to be manning it here during the summer still. Yeah, I haven't taken... Huh, maybe not. That's probably the living quarters, which maybe not, if there's a tree blocking it. Bleeding hearts. And there's no flag on the flagpole at the moment, so wow. Well, maybe riding a bike up here wasn't the greatest of plans, but It's 12:45 and I probably got here at 12:30, so it took me 2.5 hours to ride the 6 miles up here on a bike. I'm gonna go hang out, find a place to eat lunch, take a nap, take a couple long exposures of the river, go take some long exposures of the waterfalls on the way home, and that'll be it. This is cool as hell. Man. It's like, on the one hand, please get this road reopened, because this is a top 5 campground that I've seen and ever walked through. It'd be cool as hell to camp here. But at the same time, it won't take long for word to get out when if this road were reopened, this campground is available and it get mobbed full of people. Which is, again, I guess though, again, that's fine. There looks to be like 20 or 30 campground spaces here. Pretty good revenue for the Park Service. Plus there's a whole bunch of trails to access here too. So I've just got done taking some long exposures of the river from some of these riverside campsites, and I am experimenting with something. I'm taking a long exposure back into the campground. So this long exposure won't have much going on in it. There is a female deer walking across the shot, but I figured get the quaintness of the campground to help show how nice this campground is. One other group of dudes camping out. Otherwise, I have this place all to myself. But I mean, this is honestly one of the, at least this upper section where it's wooded before you get into a lot of this dead stuff in here. This upper section by the ranger station, probably one of the prettiest campgrounds I've ever been into. And it's like, combine that with the plethora of trails there are to go get from this campground. I mean, this is just this is probably the top 5 campground I've been in. This is amazing. Just the scenic quality of it is speechless. I mean, it probably helps that, you know, people haven't been able to car camp here for 20 years, so it's been rewilded, but all the grass is out, all the gorgeous ground cover everywhere. I mean, the campground was put together pretty well too, it was well thought out, but it's just, it probably has something to do with no car camping for the last 20 years. But I mean, it's just stunning. I mean, look at these maple trees. It is just stunning. So yeah, I guess I'm torn at this point. Do I want the road to get reopened so that I could drive up here and car camp up here? Hell yeah, I would probably camp up here 2 or 3 different times so I could go explore all the trails. But at the same time, if the road gets reopened, everybody else is going to come camp up here, and some of this quiet magic is going to be lost. But at the same time, if the road gets reopened, then I don't have to waste a half a day coming in and going out each direction for when I want to go on hikes or backpacks. If I want to camp out here for a weekend, I don't have to burn half of a Friday or half of a Thursday and half of a Sunday going home just hiking out to get back to Rex. I can just park and go. Oh, she might have moved on already. She was tucked in over there. That looks like she's gone. Hopefully the camera picked her up. But the camera's pointing out that direction. And I'll take I don't know, probably another 10 or 15 minutes of video of just this section of the campground. And then I'll go get a long exposure of the waterfall and be on my way home. Zoom, 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 zoom. Imagine that. I'm off the bike for a couple hours, take some long exposures, eat a little lunch, drink a little water, have a little alcohol, and it's like I'm a new man and zooming down the trail. Ooh, this is a pretty part. I mean, I'm also going downhill instead of uphill, so all the extra weight in my pack is being helped with gravity instead of being fought by gravity. But still, blech. This was a road 20 years ago. I mean, it still technically is. Just gotta have enough cars come drive on it to knock the vegetation down off the sides. Yep. It seems pretty flat, YouTube, I know. I am not pedaling hardly at all, versus I was pedaling hard and or walking it up. See, now I run into a flatter spot and I'm having to pedal pretty good. Ow! You just whacked me in the knee. That sucks. And then there's this obstacle. Again, very pretty look up into the mountains. This isn't really too high up. Up into the high country that'll still be inaccessible till sometime next month, but that's okay. This makes you get out and appreciate the low country. It could be worse, guys. This time last year is about when the heat dome set up shop over us and torched Seattle with 3 or 4 days above 110 degrees. Some of you who live like in the desert southwest, or I'm extremely lucky, people from abroad watching from maybe North Africa or the Middle East or other very hot climates, going 110. That's not too terrible. It is for Seattleite. We're used to 65 is our normal. 65 to 75 is what we are used to and enjoy, so 110 hurts. But look at that, not even 5 minutes after leaving the campground, joys of going downhill instead of uphill, I'm now at the very steep part to get to the waterfall. I'll pause here, let you admire the cliffs for a second or two, and then I'll continue. But this took me probably 20 or 30 minutes to walk up this. And it's only gonna take me 30 minutes to go down because I'm gonna stop at a couple of different spots and take long exposures. I think this is gonna be my first spot here. Try not to squish too many strawberries. Yeah, I'll take a little bit here. Now for the part you've all been waiting for. Been zooming downhill for a ways, trying to let the GoPros charge. Figured I'd waited long enough. Just come out of the Olympic National Park boundaries, so I've got that 2-ish miles to go to Elkhorn and then 3 miles back to Rex. But you know, when you struggle to go uphill with a bicycle for 6 miles, that means most of your 6 miles back is gonna be downhill zooming, baby. Which is the fun part, right? Of course. As soon as I turn the camera on, it's no more downhill zoom. It's across a creek and maybe that one little uphill spot between the park boundary Elkhorn Campground. Hopefully not, and I can just immediately start zooming again. Nope. This is a zoom. I remember it. Upshift. Get speed. And boogie, baby. Now, of course, this may not be a professional mountain bike on a groomed mountain bike trail. It is, after all, just a abandoned road going into a national park and a national forest. But at the same time, that's what kind of makes this cool, right? Anybody can go to like Crystal or Stevens or some of the other mountain areas that are open to mountain bikes in the summer, where they have groomed trails and such. But it takes a special dude to go dork himself about up some random trail or some random road and zoom. Of course, as soon as I put the camera on, I run into multiple obstacles and have to stop, when I was doing pretty much nothing but zooming for the last 10 minutes. And yes, it is raining, so if there's some raindrops collecting on the GoPro, I'm sorry, but I just cannot be bothered to deal with that right now. I'm more intrigued in getting the zoom footage. If it's not perfect zoom footage, then so be it. This is what it is like riding around the Pacific Northwest. Some days you get sun, some days you get rain, some days you get half and half. Yeah, I missed this. This is freaking sweet. Oh, it's dogwood flower. Freaking gorgeous, baby. I think there's one little uphill section, maybe somewhere between here and Elkhorn, and there's the obvious uphill section you get up and around the landslide. Otherwise, it's all downhill from here, baby. You're so funny. Dome dodge sneak. Might be it. Yep, this is it. Just past Elkhorn Campground. I'm really flying now, baby. It's wide. It's still pea gravel. Got about a mile and a half back to the landslide. Shouldn't take more than a couple minutes. Freaking boogieing, baby. The upshift again. Keep momentum. Oh, come on. Ah, she's slipping. Uh-oh. Did I completely lose my chain? Nope, it's there. Pretty river. Pretty river. Angry river. Pretty river. Don't worry, my eyes are on the road. I just got the camera pointed over. That probably drenched the camera. Momentum dead. Finally ran into another tree across the trail. Stabbed myself in the weenie. Salmon berries and thimbleberries are out. Bum 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 bum. Okay, I'm back at the creek crossing at the very beginning of the trail. So this will end today's little backcountry bicycling adventure. What can I say? Was the bike worth it? In the end, I think yes. The landslide, the amount of deadfall, the other debris flow, and having to walk up alongside Dosewallips Falls made it one hell of a chore, but it is 5:15. I left around 3:30 from the campground. Factor in almost an hour taking long exposures, so say 4:30, and it took me, we'll call it an even hour to come home from 6.5 miles deep. Yeah, I was a pain in the butt lugging the bike up, but that was because I was overweight in my backpack and out of shape. So I do think it's worth it. I'll be coming back and doing it again. Probably not anytime soon, just because it kicked my butt too much and I'm a wimpy wimp. But there's plenty of opportunities to come back and bike up it and go see stuff again. So I have been Brandon Scott with Cooley Outdoors. Leave a like on the video, subscribe to the page please, leave a comment down below. If you didn't like the video, please go ahead and dislike it, but if you're going to dislike it especially, leave me a comment what you didn't like. If your problem is that this GoPro has water on it for these last couple of scenes, sorry, I just didn't care. Slow down and clean it. Thank you, see you next time, and ciao.